Namaskar and welcome to the Gita Satsang for today. Let us start with the Prarthana. By the Guru's grace and the will of Sri Krishna, we have all assembled for this Gita Satsang. May we have their guidance to be able to learn and adopt the things which will help us to grow spiritually. Let us chant the shlokas. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramartanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतः क्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुग्म व्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकम्। So with prayers at the lotus feet of the Acharyas, let us get started with our topic for today. So today we are going to take the last few shlokas of this 8th chapter. We saw how in the previous satsang, we saw how Krishna explained about the lifetimes of Brahma, and then he also explained that although the people who are reaching the state of Kaivalya are going to reach a point of no return, but still far superior is it to do bhakti and to reach Sri Vaikuntha. Now, in these shlokas from the 23rd to the 26th shloka, Krishna is going to be talking about what are the different paths through which the Atmas depart at the time of death. So, all these I have taken them together and then we will see the meaning of them all together. So, from 23rd shloka he starts, Yatra kale tvanavrittim avrittim chaiva yoginaha prayata yanti tam kalam vakshyami bharatarshava Agnir aha shuklaha shanmasa uttarayanam tatra prayata gachanti brahma vido janaha धूमो रात्रिस्तथा कृष्णः षण्मासा दक्षिणायनं तत्र चान्द्रमसं ज्योतिर्योगी प्राप्य निवर्तते शुक्लकृष्णे गतिह्येते जगतः शाश्वते मते एकयायात्यनावृत्तिम् अनन्या वर्तते पुनः. So he starts off by saying in the 23rd shloka, he's telling, O Arjuna, O Bharatarshabha, O best among the Bharatas, I declare to you the time at which if the yogis depart, they do not return, and also the time at which if they return and departing in which they return. So Krishna is going to talk about two situations. One is the situation where the yogis will depart in a particular time, in a particular path, and they will not return back to this samsara. The other path he is going to talk about is the path on which if they depart, they will return to samsara. So the first one he is telling in the 24th shloka. Now, what is this marga? This is the marga of light. It is in the form of fire and it comprises of different lokas which are made up of the daytime, the bright fortnight, the Uttarayana Kala, and those who know Brahma, those yogis who take this path, they will reach Brahman. They will reach Sri Vaikuntha. They will reach the Supreme Lord. Then in the 25th shloka he says, the other path, it is made up of smoke, night, the dark fortnight, and the Dakshinayana Kala. So the yogi who takes this path reaches the Chandraloka and then he comes back. He does not reach Paramapadam. He does not reach Sri Vaikuntha. Both these paths, the bright path and the dark path are eternal. But when somebody travels, the paths will always be there. But someone who travels on the bright path does not come back to samsara. And those who travel on the dark path, they come back here again. So all these things Krishna has told in these 4 shlokas. So let us try to make sense of it. So at the time of death, the Atma can take 2 paths. This is what we have understood so far. Avrittim means returning to samsara. Anavrittim means not returning to samsara. Now here Krishna is saying the yogi who has taken the light path does not return. The yogi who has taken the dark path returns. So what does he mean here by saying the word yogi? Yogi actually he means jnani, the person who has understood the supreme truth, not the one who is pursuing the path of jnana yoga. What he rather means is the jnani. And previously in this chapter only, in the previous shlokas, he has told that the jnani is the one who is dearest to me. Who is that jnani? The one who has the jnana that the Supreme Lord is everything for him. The one who says, Vasudevam Sarvam. That is the Jnani. So such a Jnani is the one who is the superior Jnani. And the one who wants other things, who wants Aishwarya, who wants Kaivalya, is the inferior yogi. So here when in the 23rd shloka and 24th shloka he is talking about yogi, he means this Jnani who is only seeking the Lord. So for such a person who only wants to attain the Lord, there is no question of returning to samsara once he departs. That in that case, the Jivatma, which was bound up in this world, the Baddha Jivatma, becomes a Muktatma because he attains Mukti, reaches Sri Vaikuntha, and from Sri Vaikuntha, there is no path for him to come back. But those who have other desires, those people, they will not reach Sri Vaikuntha, they will only reach the higher stage of the Chandraloka. And from there, they will come back to the samsara once those desires that they had are fulfilled. So, the 2 margas that he talked about, the Jnani goes to moksha by traveling through the light path. That is the one which is called by our acharyas as the Archiradi Marga. Now, at the time of death, what happens? There are many different channels of energy in our body. One of those, the predominant one, is the Sushumna Nadi. At that time, if the Jivatma exits from this Sushumna Nadi, then he travels out further on this Archiradi Marga. So this is told even in the Upanishads, and the same has been explained by Ramanujacharya and all our acharyas. So when this Jivatma exits from the Sushumna Nadi, through the gap in the skull, which is called as the, Brahmarandra. Sometimes, it is told like that. So at that point where the Sushumna Nadi opens out and the Jivatma exits from there, then it travels through 4 places. The places of light, the places of daytime, the place of Shukla Paksha, and the place of Uttarayana. Now these are definite places which are supposed to be there, and in the Upanishad there are 8 more places. So there is a total of about 12 places through which 12 areas through which this Jivatma travels. We don't need to get into the details of what are those. They are specific areas, we can say. Now, as the Atma crosses through all these areas, it completely comes out of the Mula Prakriti. It reaches a spot where there is a river called as the Viraja river. It enters that river, it bathes in that river, and it gets cleansed and attains a Sukshma Sharira. Then, with this Sukshma Sharira, that Jivatma, which has now become a Muktatma, reaches Sri Vaikuntha. For such an Atma, there is no return to samsara. That Atma is always going to stay in Sri Vaikuntha in service of the Lord. So this much is explained by the 23rd and 24th shlokas. Now in the 25th shloka, Krishna explains about the other marga, which is a dark marga. That is called as the Dhumadi marga. Dhuma means smoke. So on this smoke, on this route, there will be lokas, there will be areas which have smoke and darkness. So smoke is there, darkness is there, night is there, then the Krishna Paksha is there, then Dakshinayana Kala. Like this, the Pitraloka, Akashaloka, Chandraloka. So all these lokas are on the Dhumadi marga, and all of them have qualities which are opposite of the Archiradi marga. So somebody who has worldly desires, somebody who desires Aishwarya, somebody who desires Kaivalya. Kaivalyarthi goes to Kaivalya and doesn't come back. But somebody who has Aishwaryarthi, somebody who has done some, good deeds to get to a high state, that person will travel by this Dhumadi Marga. Because their desire is not to attain the Lord, they will go to the lokas which give them lot of pleasure and joy and bliss. But from there, they cannot go to Sri Vaikunta. They will come back depending on when their account of whatever punya they have accumulated gets over, right? So here, this person also is a yogi. But what is the meaning of the word yogi for the one who goes on the Dhumadi Marga? Only a person who has performed good deeds, noble deeds for public welfare. Like they have done good things. They have, maybe created water sources. They have made ponds. They have served people. They have done Samaj Seva. They have served food to people. They have built temples. They have done a lot of things for public welfare. But and they want to do all these things because it is good and correct. Some of them do these things because they want something in return. They want to accumulate punya, but their aim is not to reach God. So those kind of people will go through this Dhumadi marga. So we have understood that there are two margas. One is the Archiradi marga, which is reserved for the ones who only have unending love for the Lord, who only have bhakti for the Lord, who only want to attain the Lord, and therefore they will reach Sri Vaikunta at the time after their death. The others are the ones who are not having desire to attain the Lord, but they have done lot of pious noble deeds. They have accumulated lot of punya, so they will travel by the Dhumadi marga. Somebody who travels by Archiradi marga reaches Sri Vaikunta, does not come back to samsara. Somebody who travels by Dhumadi marga does not reach Sri Vaikunta, they will come back to samsara. This is what is the meaning of that. Now, this journey has been described by Swami Nammalvar in his Tirvaimoli. The translation of those relevant shlokas, there are 10 shlokas actually. Sri M.K. Sudarshan, who is a very revered person in the community, he has translated the meaning of these 10 shlokas, and very nicely he explains how it happens. So he says, first, the entire, the sky will blow the bugles, the sea will all be happy, all the continents, all the celestial bodies will stand waiting to receive this devotee of Narayana, because this is the Jivatma who is coming back home. What is home here? It is Sri Vaikunta. When all these beings, they see that Atma entering into that Marga, into the Archiradi Marga, it seems they do, Pushpa Vrishti, they will rain down flowers on them, lot of incense will be lit, all those Gandharvas, Kinnaras will stand and they will start singing, then they will start showing the way to pass to Vaikuntha. Then it is said that all the deities who are there, we talked about all those lokas which are there on the Archiradi Marga. In all those, there are some devatas who are present. Those devatas will come out and they will welcome this Atma and say, you are very lucky, you have got this opportunity to reach Sri Vaikunta. And they will come and offer gifts and they will bless this Atma. Then the rishis who are there, as they see this Atma going, they will light their holy fires and they will all be happy and make offerings for the well-being. Then further, all the devatas who are there will come out and they will stand all along the way, and that entire area will be very festively decorated. Why? Because Govinda's hero is coming. This is the one who is the loved one of Govinda. This Jivatma has finally reached here. So in that joy, everybody is standing there, welcoming him, cheering him. I mean, I'm saying him, but of course there's no he and she there, cheering the Jivatma. So they are very happy that the Jivatma has finally reached the final destination. And then slowly the Jivatma comes closer and everybody cheers to him and says that you have finally reached that place which is your birthright. In this loka, we have a lot of people crying for different things, saying, this is my birthright, this is my right, I want this. But actually, the birthright of every Atma is to reach the lotus feet of the Lord in Sri Vaikuntha. And as they see him coming close by, there are so many Muktatmas who are already there. There are so many Nityatmas who are already there. They wash the feet of this Sukshma Sharira, of this Jivatma, and they say, we are blessed to be able to do this seva. Then Apsaras come there carrying lamps and different gandhas, and they are giving Kumbhabhisheka. They are, holding the Kumbha, and they are offering everything to this heroic Atma who has come finally to Sri Vaikuntha. And finally, when he reaches there, when that Jivatma reaches there, it sees that the Lord, Sriman Narayana, is seated on Adishesha with Sri Devi, Bhudevi, Neela Devi, and all the other Nitya Atmas which are there, all the Muktatmas, all the Nityatmas, everybody is there singing praises of the Lord, constantly involved in service to the Lord. And this Jivatma in the Sukshma Sharira finally comes there. The Lord Himself welcomes and places this Jivatma on His lap. And He is very happy to finally have got back this Jivatma. This Atma who was His but had gone away from Him. He is very happy to have attained that. And that Jivatma also then stays there in complete bliss, constantly performing Kainkarya, constantly doing seva to the Lord. So this is the journey that awaits us. This is the journey that we should be thinking of. If we are Bhagavalla Bhartis, if attaining the lotus feet of the Lord is our goal, then this is the image that we should have in our mind. And to be able to do that, we should only have bhakti for the Lord. We should be able to give up all our other desires and fix our mind only on the Lord. Then, at the time of death, that kind of a person who has surrendered completely, who has done Sharanagati at the lotus feet of the Lord, that Prapanna, that Sharanagata will travel through the Archiradi Marga and arrive at Sri Vaikuntha. And once he reaches there, as the Vedas and Upanishads say, there is Nacha Punaravartate. There is no more coming back to this samsara. So that should be our goal also. After that wonderful vision, we will continue further. There are just 2 more shlokas to complete this chapter, and they are related to whatever was told all along here. So, in the 27th shloka, Krishna tells Arjuna, Naite sriti partha jananya yogi muhyatti kaschana tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna. O Partha, no yogi who knows these true paths is ever deluded. Therefore, O Arjuna, at all times, yoga yukto, engage yourself in yoga. So what Krishna is saying, that the yogi actually, now we saw previously how the word yogi indicates, like in the context of the Archiradi Marga, yogi means the one who is a jnani, who has the jnana that Vasudevam Sarvamiti. In the context of the Dhumadi Marga, yogi means the one who has performed noble deeds. Now Krishna is telling that the one who knows the reality of these 2 paths, that is the enlightened person. So that yogi, that kind of a yogi who is the truly enlightened person, understands both the paths. And somebody who understands both the paths, he will not be deluded by any kind of doubt at the time of his death. So, when there is no confusion, when there is no delusion, then at the time of death, this kind of a jnani goes only by Archiradi Marga. So, O Arjuna, every day you should reflect upon this. Engage yourself in yoga. What did he say? Yoga yukto bhavarjuna. Always be engaged in yoga. What is this yoga that Krishna is telling Arjuna to engage in? Engage yourself in thinking of going on this Archiradi Marga. Why? Because who gets to travel on this Marga? The Jnani who only practices bhakti because he wants to attain the Lord. This is the kind of person who travels on the Archiradi Marga. So by saying that engage yourself in yoga, Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna, think only of me, do everything for me, do everything for my pleasure. And with that bhava, when we do because our actions are meant to give pleasures to the Lord, when we do because we realize that we are only an instrument and we have to do his work, that bhava when we have, then we will be always, no doubt, thinking of reaching the Lord through the Archiradi Marga. And somebody who thinks of this constantly will be always surrendered to the Lord and will reach the Lord's lotus feet. So this is what Krishna is advising Arjuna, that think of me like this, engage yourself in this kind of yoga. Now, in the last 28 shloka, Krishna tells Arjuna, Vedeshu yagneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam. He says there are different kinds of punya karyas. There are different kinds of meritorious results which can be got. What are they? Whatever results are declared to come, to accrue from study of Vedas, from performance of tapa, sacrifices, from from the practice of tapas, austerities, and from dana. All this phala is transcended by the yogi who knows this teaching of mine. And such a yogi reaches the supreme, the Paramapadam, the supreme primeval abode. So here Krishna is saying there are four types of meritorious actions, actions which yield merits or punya. So what are these punyatmaka actions? First one, adhyayana, study of the Vedas. Second, yajna, performing sacrifices. Third, tapas, self-restraint. And fourth, dana, charity. So when we do these four things, we get lot of punya. But whatever we get, whatever we may gain from all these four, it is nothing compared to the gain that we get when we understand the greatness of the Lord and seek only the Lord. So somebody who has this kind of an understanding will think that whatever punya I'm going to get from doing these four things, it is nothing but like grass. It is as unimportant as grass which is fallen on the road. So he will understand that the real merit comes in wanting to reach the Lord, in wanting to eternally be in service of the Lord. And only such a person will reach the Param Sthanam, that is Sri Vaikuntha. And by reaching there, such a person will attain eternal bliss. So now that Krishna has told this, he is going to go to the next chapter where he will explain more in detail. In this 8th chapter, Krishna has talked about what are all the different categories of bhaktas who come to him, the Aishwaryarthi, the Kaivalyarthi, and the Bhagavallabharti. And towards the end of this, he has made it very clear that somebody who is a Bhagavallabharti is the best kind of devotee. He is the one who will get to go to Sri Vaikuntha, stay there permanently, and perform eternal service to the Lord. Now, in the next chapter, Krishna is going to talk more about what characteristics are involved in this bhakti yogi, how to perform bhakti, what are the qualities that we need to build, and what is the process by which we get to the stage. So, that is what Krishna will explain in the next chapter. For now, he has told everything. He has said what are the margas that the Atma is going to take, what kind of desire in the Atma will give rise to what kind of journey. So he has told about Dhumadi Marga for those who have desires that they want to fulfill. On that path, when they travel, they will reach the higher lokas, but they will have to come back to samsara once that punya is over. Those who have no desire other than attaining the Lord, those who have completely surrendered to the Lord, they are the ones who will travel by Archiradi Marga. And Krishna is telling Arjuna and thus telling all of us that keep this vision of the Archiradi Marga constantly in your head. always remember this marga and decide that you are going to travel on this marga. So Swami Nammalvar has made it very easy for us. Those Tamil Pashurams are very beautiful. I'm not so fortunate that I know how to recite them. So I just put a brief translation of those things. But this is the image, this ultimate darshan that we are going to have when we arrive in Sri Vaikuntha. This is what we should hang on to at all times. This is what we must remember always. And if we keep this in our mind, then definitely we will continue to make efforts and the Lord will grace us and make us reach Him in Sri Vaikuntha. So let us pray that we have the Lord's blessings to be able to make these efforts. With this, we come to the end of our topic for today. And let us offer Kritagnyata at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and Guru for inspiring us to start and to join this satsang. And let us pray for their blessings and grace to always be on us. Thank you everybody for attending. In the next satsang, we will continue with the next chapter. Namaskar.